Hey fun fans, Nick Matthes from FRC Team 33 The Killer Bees back here again to take a deep dive into the recent team updates and a few Q&A questions. We'll specifically be taking a look at team updates 3, 4, 5, and 6, and as well as 4 Q&A questions that I believe are important for your team to know. As always, consult the CRESCENDO Game Manual or the first Q&A for official responses. All of this and more coming up on this edition of FRC Updates Now.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineer their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into this, starting with Team Update 3. I know it's been a bit since we have last met since our last video, but we'll be starting with Team Update 3. Nothing crazy important in this one, but it's important to highlight as well. Starts off here that the kitbot instructions were updated to include a troubleshooting tip. So if you're a team that is utilizing the kitbot from first, be sure to take a look at that specific document. But the big one in this specific team update was an update on note availability. So like I said, I know it's been a little bit since this has been released, so a lot of teams are already aware of this, but I do want to take some time and highlight this as well. First and AndyMark are working with the manufacturer on a second production run of notes. We expect, we as an AndyMark, expect a second order to be manufactured by January 25th, and it will be sent to AndyMark in Indiana by air. So by the time this video is posted, ideally the second order has been manufactured. AndyMark expects to be able to accept new orders the week of February 5th, which should be right before this video. So if you're taking a look at this video, AndyMark should be looking to take new orders for notes here very shortly. So if you're a team in need of notes, be sure to be aware of that. Sign up for the stock email update on the AndyMark page and ensure that your team is aware of what's going on from that standpoint. Actual date is going to be announced as soon as the shipping details are confirmed. And like I said, to receive that notification, sign up on AndyMark's note production page. Existing back orders are going to receive up to those additional 24 notes, and then new orders at this point are still capped at 6 per teams. There's some dimension updates to team versions, so if you're a team that has not quite yet got a chance to build your practice field or build specific components, be sure to take a look at those updated dimensions in the speaker as well as the README document for TE 24200. We had an update to some speaker language, so lines, colored lights in the subwoofer turn off when an amplification starts and recede second by second. As amplification progresses, it was added that if an amplification ends before the countdown completes, because the maximum number of notes have been scored, the subwoofer and speaker lights will turn off. So it's not going to continue to count down to 10. At that point, it'll shut down immediately. We had an update to G206 and the conduct rules for don't violate rules for RPs. Some notion added here to the blue box. So it says if Team A on the blue alliance agrees with Team F on the red alliance to enter the blue stage zone during the last 20 seconds of qualification match and wait to be contacted by Team F. And then both robots drive to the red stage zone so that Team A can contact Team F in their stage zone, leading to both alliances being awarded the ensemble RP. So essentially trying to help each other out to get the ensemble RP. If you were to do this, you're going to be ineligible for the Melody and ensemble RP. So if you were thinking about utilizing that strategy, this outlaws it here. And then finally, we see an increase in capacity from 40 to 45 teams for our friends in Israel at their district championship. We're going to go ahead and jump to Team Update 4 here, which starts on page 5 of this document. Team Update 4. Question 23 in the first robotics competition led to a good discussion among the folks who answered those questions. The answer is nuanced, and we'd like to use the team update to bring attention to it. So we'll be taking a look at that Q&A question as well on what was asked shortly in this video. But game pieces, a notion about game pieces, what is it going to look like on, because obviously notes are going to be damaged by robots as we move through this competition. What is still considered a note? At that point throughout the competition. First added, notes undergo wear and tear during a competition. Generally, a note that still appears to look approximately like a note is considered a note for the purpose of rule evaluation and scoring, whether damaged or not. Small chunks of a note are not considered a note. So this is important, making sure that teams are designing your shooters not only with new notes, but also used notes. I know a lot of teams are purposely destroying or degrading a couple of their notes to ensure that their shooters are still working to their specified accuracy with those worn notes. So if you haven't done that, make sure to take a look at that so that way you can do a bit of preemptive help for your team when it comes to designing your robot for this coming season. Spotlighting. We get a additional alliances may spotlight robots by scoring a high note on a microphone. A high note is scored on the microphone if the note surrounds, i.e. encircles the microphone. So can't be leaning on it. It's got to be actually on the microphone. Jumping to G415, we just had item E, damaging added to watch your area interaction. Nothing crazy here. Qualification ranking, we get an update. Average Alliance stage points, so it's not Alliance Park on stage and notes and trap, it's Alliance stage points, and the same goes for the playoff match ties. And then also in section 11.2, we get a decrease in capacity for the first Chesapeake District Championship. All right, jumping into Team Update 5 here, starting on page 3 of this document, we get an update to some layout and marking diagrams as well as the speakers. So if you're looking at either of those, especially the example cut list, be sure to take a look at that. We get an update for some clarification on the first Impact Award, breaking down that teams, specifically district teams competing at regionals, cannot interview for the first Impact Award, and once a team has won it, they cannot interview before that, again, at a specific level of competition. So if you're a district team, you won it at your first district, you can't interview again at your second district. You're going to have to wait until you get to your district championship or past that point. If you're a team utilizing the kitbot from first, be sure to take a look at the updated Java code in the kitbot that's posted in this team update, missing a subsystem requirement in the auto examples. Be sure to take a look at that. We also get a number of bug released fixed from the WPILib team for C++ and Java. So if your team's utilizing those softwares in the WPILib, be sure to take a look at that if you're experiencing issues. The big one for Team Update 5 here is really the update to playoff performance. First does a good job of breaking down the movement to double elim. I know this happened last year, but they do a good job of really breaking down how teams get points in this specific station. So, teams that advance to at least match 12 earn double elimination points per the formula below, where beta is defined in table 11.4. So, double elim points are calculated using this equation: number of double elimination matches in which Alliance won and team participated, divided by the number of double elimination matches that the Alliance won times beta. So, beta is referencing these specific point values. So, if you're a team that you play 5 matches, you win those 5 matches, you participate in all of them, it's not going to affect your beta value or your point value, right? It only determines, say your Alliance wins 5 matches, but you only played in 3 of them, right? You have 3 divided by 5 times beta, which is going to decrease your overall point value in that standpoint. So that's kind of what that's breaking down here. We get some clarification added to some double elims, and then we also get some language added here in a blue box. Teams on the winning alliance are awarded additional finals points, which are 5 points for each finals match won, and which the team participated up to a maximum of 10 points. So similar to what I just broke down with that equation, for example, if Team X's alliance wins the event, but Team X only played in 2 matches won by their playoff alliance, match 13 and final 1, Team X's playoff performance points are 20 times 1 divided by 5 plus 5 because they won a finals match, so they get that extra 5 points, which results in 9 double elimination points. So that's kind of breaking down the transition from playoff to double elim and how backup robots or teams missing matches are going to be treated from that. Jumping into Team Update 6, which just came out today, the day of this recording, we get another update to the Kitbot Java code. So if you're a team utilizing the Kitbot and utilizing that software, be sure to take a look at that. They had the code was updated to disable the formatting check when building. One of the biggest things out of this team update came the playoff alliance communication document, which I think is important for teams to know that are not familiar with the playoff format. In the first robotics competition. So we'll be taking a look at that after this team update. G411, we get updates. Robots must be safe. A robot may not pose undue hazards to humans, arena elements, or other robots in the following ways. We get a line item, be contact with the service inside of the AMP via a note. So as you're building your robot, make sure to take a look at these updates because it can affect some robot design depending on what you're trying to accomplish and what the rule is trying to get at. Expansion limits, we get an update here. I'm a big fan of this rule to begin with, so I just want to preface that first. Good job for this one, but we'll take a deeper dive here into what was added in this blue box as well. If the overexpansion is due to damage and not used for strategic benefit as perceived by a referee, it is an exception to this rule and no penalty is imposed. Jumping down to the blue box, the intent of this rule is to prevent piling, a punitive response to robots that already experience hardship and not leveraging that hardship for gain. Examples for this rule include the following. A physical device on a team's robot whose purpose is to restrain their trap scoring arm from extending beyond the limit defined in B breaks after a collision with a robot, provided the robot does not use the now too long extension to score in the AMP. No violation is going to be assigned for that. A vertical structure member of a robot breaks at the bottom and rotates out such that it breaks the limit imposed by Part B. The robot then parks such that its extension blocks opponents from robot reaching the podium. A tech foul is issued, right? So what they're saying here, difference between A and B, A is a team's robot had an unfortunate break. They're taking past that point. They're moving into the standpoint of, what can they do? They're not using it to extension to score in that AMP. They're not going to get a foul for that. Where if you have a robot that breaks and then, imposes or breaches that limit and then uses that to their advantage, right, where they're blocking, robots from reaching the podium, that's when they're going to issue that tech foul. In item C, we get a latch restraining a shooter mechanism from extending above the limit defined in A, breaks, allowing the mechanism to shift such that it's above the plane of the robots. The robot uses this new height to get above the defender and score notes in the speaker. A tech foul is going to be issued for that because they're using that additional height that they normally would not have without that piece breaking. We get an update to G415. Watch your arena interaction. The robot may not damage an arena element. Pretty straightforward, but important to add some of those important language here. With that, we're going to jump to the playoff document that was released. So I think this is a big deal. It's a really good addition on First's part on what to add specifically for various playoff communication. And how can we help teams, have a better experience, right? One of the biggest things that I've heard, when I was working as an FTA is a lot of teams aren't aware of, especially rookie teams, aren't really aware of how the playoff tournament works. So I think this does a really good job of breaking down specific definitions. What are an alliance captain? What are yellow cards in the playoff tournament? Because they are different. If you're not aware, yellow cards are assessed differently from qualification matches to playoff matches. Yellow cards are from qualification matches are cleared, and then you're assessed as an alliance as the playoff tournament goes on. So I think it's big. I think it's also cool that First officially added that each team can have 3 additional team members in the arena and notified as pit crew, which is a big deal. And then it breaks down specific, hey, this is when we want lineups do, to allow for teams to pick their driver stations, and then really breaking down how backup teams work. So again, backup team is the next highest seed unselected team. The backup can't be used in the alliance's first match. Only the captain can submit the coupon, so on and so forth. And then we get, a document here or a graphic that shows, how a verbal warning escalates to a tech foul, which I think is a good addition. It breaks down on how things should be treated, what can teams expect on specific scenarios. So this is a good addition on First part in regard to G301 as well. Good faith effort. I think this is important too. To really understand on where the field staff's coming from, where the teams are coming from. So examples of good faith efforts to quickly become match ready include but are not limited to walking safely towards the field with the robot, applying quick fixes such as tape or cable ties, waiting for an operator console computer to boot, working with the field staff to get the robot connected to the field. Those are defined as well. Examples that are not considered good faith efforts to quickly become match ready. A robot not moving to the field, a robot moving to the field but actively being modified, a drive team member remaining on the field once a match is ready to begin, installing bumpers, charging pneumatic systems, or any robot maintenance on the field, time-consuming use of alignment devices, and then repairs also that are not described in B. So I'm overall really positive document that FRC is able to provide. So that way, even I hope I didn't see, but I hope this is a document that's provided to teams. So if there are rookie teams in that alliance captain position, they have an idea of what they're getting themselves into and have an idea of how things are going to flow throughout the tournament. I think it's really important for them to do that, and I'm glad that they were able to put this together. Shifting to a couple Q&A questions here. The first one, question 22, asked by FRC 6662. I know this has been a bit, but it wasn't answered when the last video was released, so I wanted to come back to this. But they asked, the text of G206 prohibits situations in which both alliances violate a rule to gain an RP, but the blue box represents a situation in which one or both alliances have not broken rules. E.g., if all teams on both alliances agree that Alliance A will feed extra rings through their source to improve Alliance B's cycle times, it doesn't violate G203 or 204, because all the Alliance members have agreed the way the current rule is written. So it is the intent of G206 to ban all coordination between alliances to gain RP, even if no rules are broken. First notes, thanks for pointing this out. The blue box that was there was a poor representation, but it's been updated as we went over in Team Update 3. But in a scenario wherein all teams in a match agree to feed notes to the opponents, the teams are encouraging and simultaneously be encouraged to play beneath their abilities and thus violating those rules G2, 203, 204, and 205. The intent of this rule is not to ban coordination between alliances, and alliances are expected to engage in some coordination to achieve the cooperation reward. But please also see the answer to question 23 for additional context, which we're going to jump to right now. Question 23, asked by the same people, FRC 6662. Does coordinating with a team on an opposing alliance before a match to avoid a collision during autonomous violate G203 or 204? Theoretically, with the notes being available in the middle, there could be a collision that could benefit your alliance, or G206, because avoiding a collision may help both alliances get the Melody RP. Does this change if both teams have the consent of their alliance partners? If it violates G206, would it be legal during playoff matches, since ranking points are irrelevant? So generally, coordinating autonomous mode, or first it responded again 7 days ago. This was asked earlier, but I wanted to come back and highlight this because I think it's really important for teams to know. Coordinating autonomous modes with the opposing alliance, or even just letting the opposing alliance know which centerline note you plan to go after, is not a violation of 203, 204, or 205. Conversely, an alliance could choose to not want to discuss their autonomous strategy with the opposing alliance. This is each alliance's right to decide, and completely within the spirit of the game. Where this could get messy is if one alliance tries to encourage a team on the other alliance to play beneath its ability. For example, a red alliance robot could tell a blue alliance robot, you should not go into the middle center line note because we're going to go for it. In this case, this would be a violation of G203. A red alliance team could also say, if you let us get the notes on the center line, we have a better shot at winning the match and seeding first, and if you let us, we'll pick you. This would also be a violation of G203 for red and a violation of G204 if blue follows through with it. So just like the round-robin qualification structure and alliance selection process, this is a situation that is part of the first robotics competition that could lead to poor behavior. In areas like this, we rely on the first core values and ethos of our cooperation and gracious professionalism to guide us. So I know there was some discussion on trying to coordinate. You're more than welcome to let the opposing alliance know which note you plan to go after. That's not a violation. What is a violation is essentially trying to persuade a team or telling them you shouldn't go for a note because you're going to go for it. So as we get up here, teams are starting to fabricate, finish designs, fabricate and complete these robots. As you're working on those autonomous modes, make sure to have a lot of autonomous modes available because, in those situations, autonomous is going to be a very interesting part to this year's game, in my opinion. Jumping to our third Q&A question. Question 85 was asked by FRC 900. If a note is placed in the trap throughout the cutout above the April tag by a robot that is not on stage, i.e. not climbed on the chains, will it count as scored in the trap? Interesting to note, there is no requirement that a robot to be on stage to score a note in the trap, meaning, there's been videos out there. Teams, if you can get it to be consistent and work, you are allowed to shoot in the trap without being on stage. So if you're having trouble trying to come up with a way on how to get to the trap, because it is a unique design constraint in this year's game, think about shooting it in from the floor. It would still count as being scored in the trap. Question 94, our last one, asked by FRC 3890. Does pushing against the vertical surfaces of the stage core wall while climbing on the chain violate Rule G415? Is doing this considered grasping the vertical surface of the stage core wall? The GDC responded, "We cannot comment absolutely on hypothetical scenarios. The ultimate decision would be determined by the referees at your event with the final call made by the head referee. Generally, simply pushing against the vertical surface of the stage core is not considered grasping." So if you've seen the Spectrum build blog, for example, on Chief Delphi, they're working with a couple climbers that are riding up the wall, and this Q&A is saying that would be legal, but the ultimate decision would be determined by the referees. But it's not considered grasping by riding up that stage core. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. Again, like I said in the past video, as more updates and more Q&A questions come out that we think are important for your teams to know, we'll jump on and make a video. Ultimately, our goal here is to make your teams better and more aware of situations before you get to competition and be aware. So that's all for now. Thanks everyone for tuning into this episode of FRC Updates Now.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineered their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship, providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.